Gotta get my specs on to see if I'm live here. Looks like it. Hey folks, last week I did an episode on the wood block printing process, and I started out just showing you the block. And as you recall, we talked all about this piece of birch plywood. And this is usually the size I like to do recently. This is 12 by 18. This is a nice, easy size. It gives you a good size print. I can carve them out in a week or so. So I was doing really big ones before then, and they take me a month to do, and sometimes I wouldn't be happy with them by the end of the month, and I just wasted a bunch of time. Anyway, I like the smaller ones. But the project that I'm going to share with you this time it's a little bigger, and it's special. So the Indiana State Bar Association has collected for years artists' renderings of courthouses in the different counties throughout the state of Indiana. And they have most of the courthouses, which they display at the Indiana State Bar Association, which I've never been to. But they do not have the Putnam County Courthouse. And I have been asked to do the piece for their collection. So I'm very honored, very excited, a little nervous. So, you know, in Matthew style, I thought I would just do it in front of everybody. That way, if it crashes and burns, you can all watch me go through the process. This is how the sausage is made, folks. So, I wanted to do a little bit bigger than that. And well, first thing I did, I started walking around the courthouse. And, you know, it's gorgeous. And if you look at old pictures of the courthouse from the 1800s, it looks pretty much exactly like it does today. It's amazing. But what really captures my imagination are those huge pine trees that are on, it would be the backside of the monuments, across from the Mexican restaurant and across from Almost Home, that side. It's got these huge, beautiful fir trees, some kind of evergreen there. And that's what really got me going. And so I did some preliminary sketches. I don't always do sketches, but you know, it's the frickin' courthouse, so you gotta get it right. So I did a bunch of just quick charcoal kind of stuff to get something going that was exciting. I mean, here, the courthouse is this huge concrete, just this solid thing. Well, a lot of my stuff is about movement and nature, and I just thought it would be really cool to contrast the solidity of that building and all that it stands for with the nature that surrounds it and the clouds and that kind of stuff. So anyway, I did a bunch of these drawings until I got comfortable, kind of figured out how I wanted to do the composition. And then, so I decided to do it on this size block. Get it all in the picture here. And so then basically, I drew it out with a Sharpie. And so that's typically how I do. Now, if you remember me talking about the printing process, the parts that are black are going to be all the parts that the ink are going to adhere to. So I'm not going to carve anything that's black. And then all the parts that are white, I'm going to carve that away. So let's see, I've got people coming on here. Hi, folks. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. So I got this all drawn out today. Now, one thing you got to keep in mind and remember when you're doing woodblock carving is when you pull the print off this guy, it's going to be backwards. Now, I think because the camera is facing me, yeah, it's flipping it automatically. So you're kind of getting a cheap preview of the way it's going to look. But when I draw this on here, I have to do it backwards. And especially for the clock to make sense, I had to make sure that was backwards. And people who know this side of the courthouse, the trees have to be right. So anyway, that was a couple things I had to keep in mind. Otherwise, the courthouse is almost perfectly symmetrical, which helps. So what's going to happen now, back in the day, back in the 1500s, back when Albert Dürer walked the earth and was doing wood carvings, is he'd draw on his block. And if I were to start gouging away with a gouge at this, it'd be really hard for me to tell where I gouged and where I didn't, because the wood's all the same color. But what Dürer would do was he would stain the block a light orange color. That way when you carve, you really see where you've carved and where you haven't. Well, we live in the modern age today, so after drawing on this block with a big Sharpie, I'm going to cover the whole thing in red with a red Sharpie. This is a Magnum Sharpie. I bet you've never seen one this big before. So that'll be my next step. I'll cover this whole thing in red, and then I'll start carving, and that'll be the topic of our next video. So thank you so much for watching. You can check me out on my website at mreesart.com, art.com. You can also follow me on Instagram, mreeseart, and Facebook as well. Take care. Watch me fumble with the buttons.